Lost leaders, are they a money maker or a giant waste of time? That's what we're looking at in this week's show, and we'll be back right after this.
You're listening to From Startup to Six Figures, the show that teaches you how to turn your idea or side gig into a serious income. Now, it's time to build the business that will change your life with your host, Samuel Stokes.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Sam. This week, we've got an exciting topic to look at, and it's going to be all about lost leaders. Now, I may sound a little funny to you. That's just because I'm fresh out of surgery on my throat. So my voice is just coming back after a couple of weeks of not being able to speak. So you'll probably be able to tell that, and it'll might grow a little bit funny over the course of the show. But we have an exciting topic to talk about. I'm going to dig right in. So, in we go. Alright, so this week we're going to be talking about lost leader strategies, and a brief overview of the show this week is we're going to take a look at what a lost leader strategy is, why it works, what does your business actually need to do to make it work, because it doesn't just work in every business. You actually need to have a strategy and underlying elements in your business to make them effective, when you should definitely avoid a lost leader strategy. And we're also going to be looking at how we're planning a lost leader campaign in our example business. And then we're going to take a little bit of a sneak peek into what we've got coming for you next week. Now, if you're listening to the show on audio on our podcast, highly recommend that you check out this week's show on YouTube, as there is a stack of visual elements to look at, and things that will help you understand this principle a little better. So let's dive right in. What is a loss leader? So in its simplest form, a loss leader is a pricing strategy where a product or service is sold or even given away at a loss in order to attract more or new customers. So it's a powerful incentive strategy to try and bring a flood of customers into your business. Now, it can be hugely powerful when it's used correctly, but it can also be a real source of problems for your business and for your business's profitability when it's not being used properly. Okay, many businesses that we look at are accidentally and often poorly implementing loss leader strategies, and that's because they haven't understood these principles, and in essence they've priced themselves into a loss leader position without even realizing. What does that mean? It means they're selling their products or services at a point where it's so low that by the time all of their other costs are added in, they're not actually making money. So if you have a business where you're working really hard but don't seem to have much to show for it at the end of the year, it's probably because all of those hidden costs are actually undermining your attempt to make profit in your business. So a lot of people are doing this by mistake and doing it poorly. We're going to show you what you need to do it properly. So why does a loss leader actually work? A loss leader strategy, it works on a psychological level for buyers. So one of the key things that you'll find you're always trying to do as a business owner is to make it really easy for customers to do business with you. The easier it is to do business with you, the more sales you'll make, the more profit you'll make, the more successful your business will be. And you've got to recognize as a business owner that any buyer that comes to you is always going to have at least two objections, okay? At least two concerns in the back of their mind, often more, but they're always going to have these two, and they are price and time, okay? They're going to be concerned about the amount of money they're spending and the time that's involved, okay? And these two things are often tied together because the price of your product, to you, it represents what you're selling your product for. For the customer, it represents an amount of money they have to give you in order to get it. And for a customer, where did that money came from? It often came from working a job or spending time in their own business. So the price and the money they give you has a time component as well. Your customers will often be measuring your products or service against the number of hours it took them to make the money to buy that product or service, okay? So customers will always have these objections, and by running a loss leader strategy, you can really reduce that objection and the barrier to doing business with you, making it far easier for them to purchase. Because if the price is lower, the objection is smaller and more easily overcome. Okay, but it has to be, in essence, like you've helped reduce or remove the purchasing risk for the customer. And risk reversal or risk removal is a really important concept in sales. We'll talk about that in an episode all of its own. But as we talk about loss leader strategies, I want to make clear that this is a strategy to be used tactically and carefully. If you simply try to price war everyone by dropping your prices to make more sales, you'll end up in a race to the bottom of profitability, because you'll drop your prices, your competitors will drop theirs, and soon no one's making any money. So loss leader strategies aren't just always having low prices. It's having a specific campaign to make use of a low price, perhaps for a short period of time, in order to generate a large wave of new customers. What do you need to make a loss leader strategy work? So to effectively run a loss leader campaign, you've got to have a few things in your business. One, you need good customer retention. Okay, you need to be able to say, these new customers that I'm bringing in at a loss are going to stick with me. They're going to purchase more products and services over time, and I have systems in place to capture their details and be able to reach out to them. Maybe it's a good CRM software, so customer resource management software. Maybe it's simply an email list, ability to reach out and email your customers. Maybe it's an SMS or automated messaging service. Just your business has to have the ability to reach out, communicate with your customers, okay? Number two, you must have a client lifetime value that outweighs your cost. So if it costs you $3 to find a new client via advertising, you need to be sure that the amount of money your average customer spends exceeds that amount. Okay? Because in a loss leader strategy, you're not going to make any money or any profit until your sales outweigh the cost of the products or services being sold. Now, depending on your profit margins, this might be the second or third time you sell to the customer after the loss leader strategy. Okay? Let's say you ran some sort of restaurant where you were giving away a free meal as a promotion. Now that meal costs you $5, so to give it away, you're actually going $5 into the red, into the negative, in order to win a new customer. Let's say that customer comes back and buys a second meal later in the week for $10. Now that second meal also has a $5 cost. So you've made $10 in sales, but you've had two $5 costs, so 10 minus 10 is 0. You've literally broken even, and we know that it's going to be the third time a customer buys from you before you make $1. Now this can be really powerful if you're bringing in plenty of customers and those customers are buying from you repetitively. But as you can see, if they only buy one time, you're actually going backwards. So you've got to have that lifetime value with customers that are connected to you and are going to purchase from you more than one time. When you should not use a loss leader, when you've got to avoid it like the plague, okay? You need to avoid using loss leaders when you're unsure of what your lifetime value of a customer is. If you don't know what your customers spend with you on average, you should probably avoid a loss leader strategy until you do, okay? You should also avoid it if you have no systems in place to capture your new clients, because you're bringing them in on the hope they come back, but experience shows that clients get busy and they forget about you unless you stay on their mind. And in order to stay on their mind, you need a system. All right? And you should also avoid a loss leader strategy when you have really small profit margins. When it's expensive to give something away, or you're losing a lot of money and you're not confident in your ability and your systems to retain the clients, perhaps you should wait until you have better systems in place. Okay? At the other end of the spectrum, when is the best time to use a loss leader? Okay? Loss leaders are awesome on high margin products or services. So products or services where you make a lot of profit each time you sell a unit. Okay? This is because it takes very few transactions to recoup costs and make a profit. Okay, so if you had a business where you were renovating people's houses, you wouldn't give away a $10,000 renovation, because the chances are you might only make a 15 or 20% margin on that work. So if you gave away a $10,000 renovation and your profit margin is 10%, you're going to actually need to do 9 more or 10 renovations to make profit. 9 to cover the cost and 1 to make profit. And what is the chance that for one customer you're going to do the free renovation plus 10 more? Not likely to happen, right? Because people simply don't renovate that often, or very few people do. So you want to avoid doing it with low margin products or services unless you have a system in place to ensure that you can actually recoup the costs and make a profit. Very good to do on a business with a high lifetime value of clients. For example, services businesses where you might look after clients for months or even years. For example, accounting practices, legal professionals, doctors, dentists. I mean, people go to the dentist twice a year if they follow the recommended course of using a dentist, of course. But these sorts of businesses with high lifetime value are excellent for this sort of strategy. Businesses with a healthy product ecosystem, also really powerful strategy, because you might bring them in on a loss leader on one product, but you have 15 or 16 related products or services that you can give away. An example of this one might be, let's say you run a puppy training obedience school. You might give away a free class or weeks of free classes that have a value in time and money, but as a result of them being in your classes, you might be selling them chewable dog toys and dog treats and grooming products and cute clothes to stick on their dog. Like, you could be selling them dozens of other things whilst as a result of bringing them in from your loss leader strategy. So if you have a diverse product ecosystem of related products, it can be really powerful for you. And if you aren't sure what category you fit into, as always, test and measure it on a smaller scale. You don't have to implement this strategy forever. You can try it for a week and see how it goes. But make sure you leave enough time afterwards to measure the results, because often a loss leader strategy takes time to see the benefits, okay? But try it, experiment on a small scale with a small pool of potential customers and see how it goes. All right, now we're going to take a look at this strategy at work in our example business, okay? So our book business, the author platform, has never run a loss leader promotion at this level, okay? And the reasons for that, I'm going to say fundamentally, it comes down to pride for me as the creator of the content. I spend hours producing the content. By the time I've written a book, it's more than 100 hours of work, plus time to edit, plus time to get the cover right, plus all of the other things to make the book. At the back of my mind, the desire to give that away for free or to sell it at a highly reduced price is something that I've always been against, right? I've not been a fan of it. But I decided that I was going to experiment this month, and I was going to go for a particular promotion, all right? There's a particular book promotion on a site. You can see it there on the right-hand side of the screen. It's called BookBub. It's the most powerful author promotion available. Their lists have hundreds of thousands of readers split into, well, millions of readers split into categories of hundreds of thousands of people. So when they send your book out to their email list, tens of thousands of people open it, and their list is made up of hungry readers, so thousands of readers download or buy your book. So it's the most powerful promotion available. It's also the hardest to get. And the reason it's hardest to get is you can't simply buy it. You've got to submit your book, and your book has to qualify through a range of really critical tests. They only send out great products to their readers. That's why they have such a high level of trust and such a high level of engaged readers and buyers, because the readers and buyers know that if BookBub emails it to them, it's a quality product. So in order to qualify for this, I planned this particular opportunity for months, okay? I wrote a new book that went at the start of my series. So it's a prequel. You can see it here on the left. This is the actual book I wrote. I put together a new story. I planned it to lead into the series and wrote a whole new book. I then made it available on every retailer and distributor of ebooks that I could find. So I made it hugely available, and I made it appealing to BookBub because they want to promote books that are available and purchasable anywhere. Then I sought out positive customer reviews and built up a profile of customer reviews that was very positive. The book had a high rating, consistently good customer feedback, it was professionally formatted, and it had a really snappy and attractive blurb. So it looked like a great product, and it is a great product. And so when I submitted it to BookBub, it took 2 or 3 goes, but eventually we qualified for the promo. Okay, so it wasn't an accident. It took planning and a lot of forethought and a lot of work to get the right product to do our loss leader for, okay? We didn't just pick a random thing, say we'll drop its price and see how it goes. We had a strategy to get our deal in front of as many people as possible to test it, okay? And that took work. Now, we also wanted to know what our lifetime value of a client was. And in order to deal with lifetime value, there's only one language that works, and that's spreadsheets. And I know that for most people, a spreadsheet is about as exciting as watching paint dry. And I know you're going to be really inclined to say, nope, not doing spreadsheets, not interested in that. But if you will stick with me for 2 or 3 minutes while we look at these spreadsheets, I promise it will change how you make decisions in your business. Now that's a bold promise, and I'll show you why. I'll show you how this data changes how I do business, okay? Because that's what I do. I'm an accountant. My skill is numbers. I break down numbers for me, for my clients, and for my coaching students. And I show them how to make better decisions based on their numbers. So let's bring up this spreadsheet. Now, okay, so before we went on this lunatic crusade of applying for a BookBub promotion and giving away thousands of books and hundreds of hours of my time for free to people, what did we do? We looked at our series and we said, how is it performing? What is the lifetime value of a customer, and how much money do they spend? Like, if we give away a book, are we even going to get any money off the back end sales? So we were giving away book 0 in the series, right? The prequel book. And what I did is I took a 30-day report near the end of September. I had a bit of a look, and the books sell in 2 ways. They sell in ebook sales, and they also sell through a subscription program, Kindle Unlimited, where I get paid based on the number of pages a reader reads. So if someone picks it up, reads 2 pages and puts it down, I get practically nothing. If someone reads through the whole book, I get a much better payout. So I'll explain what these things are, okay, and the position we were in before the promotion. So over the 30-day period, I'd sold 128 copies of book 0 for 99 cents each, okay? So it's pretty cheap. I wasn't making very much money off that at all. Amazon, in fact, takes a large portion of sales if they're under $2.99. So I was making very little money, but I was trying to test just how high I could drive my conversion rate. I was saying the cheaper the book, the more people should pick it up. And then I wanted to see whether those people went on to read through. So I looked at it over the course of a 30-day period, and I saw that of the 128 people that bought book 0, the whole book, just in one transaction, because it's not in the subscription program, 128 people bought it, and then book 1 sold 12 copies and had 81 people read it through the subscription program. So 93 people went on to purchase the next book in the series, which means 72% of people that bought the book one, the cheap prequel book, bought book one. And then we can go on to see this in each successive book in the series. We can see that of the 93 people that bought book one, 71 bought book two, 47 did book three, 31, then 25, and then we have a little bit of an anomaly for book six because it's a bit newer. So there's a few people catching up, and that throws our data out a little bit. It looks like more people read book six than read book five, and that simply shows that data won't always be perfect because you will have random occurrences. And in this instance, it was people who'd bought book five previously finally getting to book six and reading it. But as you can see, we have a customer retention book to book of almost 70%, or an average of about 70%. So if someone buys a book, 70% chance of the next book, and so on and so forth. Right? So we have a high customer retention, and while they might spend very little on book zero, if they buy all the books in the series, I make a $2.70 royalty here, $2.70 here, $2.70 here, so on and so forth through the 6 books, right? Because most of my readers actually read through the subscription program, as you can see, it's pretty much 6 to 8 times more people read through the subscription program. I'll show you how the numbers stack up for that, right? So I get paid on the number of pages. We take the percentage of people that read through, and we times it by the number of pages in the book and the chance they have of reading to get how much revenue I will make off a reader. So if someone picks up my first book, I will on average make 62 cents from them buying the next book, 62 from book 2, then 54 cents, 45 cents, 67 cents, and once they've made it here, they're very likely to finish the series, another 87 cents. So if someone reads the whole series, I make $5. My probability, so the chance of someone reading on times the revenue, says on average, I'm going to make at least $4 from everyone that takes a book one. Why is this important, right? How does this help us with our decisions? Well, we look down here. At the time, I was selling copies of Book Zero for 99 cents. And I could see that my advertising was costing me 10 cents a click, and I was spending $10, and I was getting on average 9 sales a day, which meant that every customer was costing me $1.10, but for every $1.10 I was spending, I was most likely making $4, right? So I was getting my money back plus $3, okay? So I was making a very positive rate of return. If I said to you, you give me $1 and I will give you $4, how many times would you want to make that trade? You'd want to make it all day, every day, okay? So as I looked at this, I thought to myself, even on a low barrier to entry, as in a 99-cent sale, I am absolutely killing it on my recurring revenue, okay? And I know $4 doesn't sound like a lot of money, okay? But remember, I'm selling a digital product to thousands of people. I don't have to deliver it, okay? So the only cost I have is my advertising cost, or the cost to reach my customers, and then the slice that Amazon takes out. Once I've finished a book and produced it, there's no other cost for me, okay? A little bit of software overheads in the business, but on a per unit basis, nothing but Amazon. So my products are hugely profitable. They might not be a large number of dollars, but I can move thousands of them in the course of a month, okay? So this little side gig, I can spend $1 and make $4, and I can do that all day, every day, providing I'm advertising, finding new readers. So this gave me the motive. This said, Sam, you've got good read through. Most people are reading on. It's worth at least trying the free campaign. If you're making $4 per reader, what would happen if you were to bring thousands of new readers into the series by giving it away for free? That was the question. That's why we've gone for the BookBub. And in the coming episodes, we're going to show you exactly how it went, because we've got all the sales data and we're going to go through it. We're going to see just how powerful this loss leader strategy was for our business. Side note, as I was going through these read-through rates and seeing what the lifetime value of my customers was, I found myself saying, if most of my readers are reading through the subscription program and I'm getting paid based on my book length, what would happen if I wrote longer books, right? It's a good question. I'd always sort of said, 60,000 words is good for my genre. I'm going to leave it there. But what happens if we do some maths and we expand each of the series from around 200 pages to 300 pages? What happens then? Well, the numbers stack up very differently. Because we've got 300 pages per book, our readers are, instead of reading 1,100 pages, they're reading about 1,800 over the course of the series, which increases our revenue on every book, and it increases it, as you can see, from 62 cents to 87 cents. So it's about, it's coming up on 30% per book, right? Stacked over the course of the series means instead of making an average of $4, we're making an average of $6.27. And our potential revenue is as high as $8 for every reader that actually completes the series. So by increasing our books from 60,000 words to about 80,000 words, so that really is only adding 20,000 or adding 30% to the length of the book, we could increase our potential revenue by 65%. Think about that. So this is hardcore number crunching and running scenarios, but by making one little decision to write longer books, I could increase my revenue by 65%. What do you think I'm doing? You better believe I've started writing longer books. From this day forward, every urban fantasy book I write in any of these series is going to be at least 80,000 words. Because I can see that is a much sweeter spot. And over time, I might test that and I might write even longer books. But to start with, we're bumping it up to 80,000. We're going to see how that performs. So that's, as I said to you, if you're willing to, and every business isn't going to look this complicated, all right? So this business has a particularly strange pricing structure through Amazon. But the point, and I know that some of these columns might not make sense to you, and I don't want to spend hours digging through each column in this business. What I really want you to take away from this little section is that by taking the time to do the numbers on your business and by understanding the lifetime value of your customers, you can massively improve your profitability and you can make far better decisions in your business, okay? There isn't a coaching client I've ever met with who we couldn't rapidly improve their business simply by helping them understand their numbers a little better, okay? All right, so back to the slideshow. All right, so we've dealt with lifetime value of our customers. We know it's good. We're going ahead with the promo. I give you a little bit of a preview on the power of free. Okay, this screenshot is taken 8 hours after the promo went live. Okay, this is the book. 34 ratings, pretty good. It is sitting at number 5 overall on the Amazon Kindle free store. Okay, so this isn't in a category. This is in the entire store. Okay, hundreds of thousands of books sitting in this store. It's sitting at number 5. That is the power of a loss leader strategy. Number 5 overall on Amazon. Number 1 in every one of its 10 categories. Okay, got massive exposure, and as we'll see, had a very impressive spike in sales on the books in the rest of the series. And so we're going to review just how powerful that was in next week's episode. So in next week's show, we're going to dive into the results of our loss leader strategy. I'm going to show you an in-depth income report update. Okay, you'll remember in episode 1, I promised we'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. When things went bad last month and our income dropped down to about $1,200 for the month, we showed you that. We showed you why it happened. We showed you the Facebook ad mistake we didn't pick up in time. We will show you everything. And so we're going to take you inside our income report, show you just how this worked for our business, and give you an idea of what this strategy might be able to do for you in your business. Because the real value of this show is its actionable techniques and strategies you can use and apply to your business. It's not theory. It's not just something a guru said or something that someone heard once and said on a podcast. This is the nitty-gritty. It's how the strategy works, what you need, and how to implement it to get massive growth in your business, okay? And then we're going to start taking a look at what other plans we've got to grow the business and what's coming next. Because remember, this isn't just a hope and a dream. This is a defined path. We're going to take this business from little startup generating, a little bit of extra spending money or a little bit of money to save and invest in our household from that little humble beginning, and we're going to take it into a serious income that people could survive off, could live off, and could have a great life off, okay? And we're going to do that step by step, show by show. So I hope you join us for the rest of the journey. Really excited to see not only what becomes of our example business, but what results we can bring you in your business. I will see you next episode.
Get show notes, the podcast archive, and free resources to boost your business at masteryourbusiness.com.au or join our Facebook group at mybcommunity.com. Join us next week for more coaching and inspiration on how you can grow your business from startup to 6 figures and beyond.